Hey, it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Doc Talk 24/7. Hope you guys are having an amazing Monday. So, I know a lot of people have been wanting me to do this, and so there's going to be two parts to this. If you are not aware, I do have my true crimes channel that I'm trying to build up, and the second part of this will be aired on the true crimes portion of the channel, which will be on that other page, and I'll definitely drop the link to that channel in the comments below. But you will be redirected to that premiere on that side. Um, but I wanted to tap into the Kelly Bryant case. I do find that it's very disturbing that a parent would actually neglect not one, not two, but three of your children. I don't know the full extent of it, so that's why I am going to go with this with you guys, and we'll go from there. Now, I did hear that the judge set a bond in the amount of $250 million. And I'm like, I understand, but I'm trying to figure if emotions was played at this time. I have seen snippets and photos of the conditions in which the children were, living in. I'm all for, you need to be underneath the jail. But at the same time, the judge has to ensure that they are following the statutes and laws according to their state. I do feel that $250 million is a little excessive. I ended up kind of researching the bond amounts um, for charges such as hers, and they range anywhere from like $30,000 to $100,000, and that's just for one charge. So if we times that, I would say 300,000 would be a more reasonable, or even 500,000. I mean, but 250 million, I do feel that that is very excessive. Um, and not just because of the nature of the case, because do not get me wrong. Please note, do not get me wrong. I wish she was up under the jail. However, you still have to, they are entitled to a fair trial, to fair dealing, so on and so forth, no matter how we feel about the situation. So I do feel as if the judge actually put a little bit too much emotion when she did set the bond for that. But 200, I had to reread that number. I was like, well, maybe somebody typed it incorrectly, but I'm gonna go over the docket with you, and then we're gonna listen to the full arraignment, and then you're gonna be redirected to the court series in regards to um how this came about, so on and so forth. So let's hop right on into it. So here you have on the screen is her. She is currently still in jail because there's no possible way she's going to make this $250 million bond, and it's a cash bond. And if I'm not mistaken, hold up, it's different than you going to a bondsman and my printer going off and my dog don't like it. It's different from going to a bondsman and putting 10% down and you're getting your loved one out. A cash bond is money paid to the court to release a defendant from jail while they await trial. Um, the defendant or third party pays the full amount in cash. So this ain't 10%, 15%, 5%. The defendant has to pay the full amount in cash in order to be released from jail. And just by y'all knowing this term, she has a cash bond. And if she wanted to get out of jail, she would have to put $250 million. It times out every now and then. she would have to pay $250 million. They said the advantage of a cash bond is that it is a direct and generally fast way to get out of jail. The disadvantage is that the defendant must have the full bond amount in cash on hand. Yeah. Going into it now, also, I want to kind of go over her charges. Now, here it states family neglect. But when I go over here, there are different charges. They actually have so the current charge is child abuse in the first degree. There are 3 charges for each one. She was arrested on February 14th. They filed this case on February 19th, and she had an arraignment on February 20th. Her next hearing is a probable cause hearing conference with the Honorable Cynthia Thomas Walker on March 4th of 2025 at 1:30. I'm going to see if I can catch the Zoom. It all depends, because sometimes they just want it where it's probably not. I'll figure that out. Okay, I'll figure that out. So there are 3 charges of child abuse. Now, I'm paying attention to this code, and so I do want to bring this section up right quick. So it was 750.136B, and it was 2, and that simply reads that a person is guilty of child abuse in the first degree if the person knowingly or intentionally causes serious physical harm or serious mental harm to a child. Child abuse in the first degree is a felony punishable by imprisonment for life or any term of years. So she is facing life, and that's just for one charge. So life times 3, or any term of years times 3. Whew. I don't know how to feel about this. I do, once again, I do believe that 250 million is very excessive. But at the same time, she could have just said a $300,000 cash bond, and she would have to pay the $300,000 up front in order to get out of jail. I think that's more reasonable than in the millions. I want to direct your attention. We're going to go ahead and watch the full arraignment. So that way, let's see. Give me a second. Blow this up. And let's tap into this.
All right, back on the record with the Kelli Bryant matter. For the record, Ms. Kerrigan, I know you've had an opportunity to go into a private confidential breakout room to confer with your client regarding the charges in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
And are you waiving the reading of the general information and complaint this morning?
Yes, Your Honor, waive reading, stand mute, ask the judge not guilty plea on her behalf. I did advise her of the nature of the offenses, the maximum possible penalties, as well as gave her basic constitutional rights.
All right, this matter is hereby assigned to Honorable Judge Cynthia Walker. She will be back before her for a probable cause conference March 4th, 2025, for a probable cause conference with an exam date set for March 11th, 2025. Ms. Bryant, that exam date is a tentative date depending upon everyone's schedule, but by the court rule, we have to set a date to keep it going. That will be at 9 o'clock. The PCC, the probable cause conference, is at 1:30. Of course, if you're unable to retain an attorney, and a court-appointed attorney will be provided for you to help you navigate and to communicate before Judge Walker on your next court date in this matter. Pretrial services relative to bond, but for the record, Ms. Carrigan, are you in receipt of the pretrial services report bail recommendation in this matter?
Your Honor, and I did discuss it with my client.
Okay, all right,
I am, yes.
okay. And have you read and reviewed that?
I did do that in the breakout room, Your Honor. Sorry, there's a lot of feedback, I think, from the jail screen. I think that's our problem right
Yeah,
now.
our problem is
But
from the
yes,
jail
I did review
screen.
it, and I talked to her.
Okay, all right, so, they're recommending, release with conditions in this matter. So we're gonna go from there. We have the PCC date. I'm gonna have you speak to bond, and then I'll make my decision as to bond. And I'll also have the prosecution speak to bond. Ms. Carrigan, you're asking the court to accept the recommendation as provided by pretrial services?
I am, Your Honor. MCR 6.106, if you go through those conditions, provide that a personal recognizance bond with any conditions should be provided unless Ms. Bryant fell under some of the very specified exceptions to a personal bond that are listed. The court can also provide a cash bond if the court finds that Ms. Bryant is either a risk to the community or a flight risk. This particular case is serious, and we're not denying that it's a very serious case. However, I don't believe that the facts and circumstances of the case give any indication that Ms. Bryant is a risk to the community at large. In addition to that, there is no indication that Ms. Bryant is a flight risk. She's a lifelong resident of the county. She was residing within the city limits of this community. She, was employed, and she has ties to the community. In speaking to her, she also is asking that the court consider a tether, which could be part of a bond if the people had any concerns that she posed a flight risk. I do think, the recommendation from pretrial services is in line with the Michigan court rules, understanding that it is a very serious offense. But the court rules are what they are. And they do provide that Ms. Bryant should be released on a personal bond with conditions, so that's what I'm asking the court to do.
Ms. Green, would you like to address the court regarding bond in this matter?
Thank you, Your Honor. I did have the opportunity to look at the pretrial services report. I know, Your Honor, just where to facts yesterday, and that those are fresh in your
One
memory,
moment,
so
please. I'm going to mute the jail. Camera. And go ahead, Ms. Green.
Thank you. I did have the opportunity to review the pretrial services report. I know that Your Honor just listened to the swear to facts yesterday, and I'm sure that those are fresh in your memory. I am requesting in this case, I do agree with Ms. Grandongo regarding MCR 6.106 to the extent that I'm on, but this court has the authority to put in place a high cash bond with conditions, and I believe that it appears that Ms. Bryant is not employed, and that her resident status may be transient, so I consider her, and I think that the facts of this case portray her as potential flight risk, and that there are 3 victims in this case that she should absolutely be prohibited from having contact with. So I'd ask the court add a specific no contact provision as it relates to the 3 minor victims in this case. And if the court would like me to go on, I can.
No. What I found very suspicious in the report for pretrial services, there's 2 different addresses given to her. So I agree with you, Ms. Green, that one could opine that she's transient from here, she's from there, we don't know where she resides. I do find her an acute risk and danger to the community and to any minor children under the age of 18, let alone the 3 minor children that she is a mother to. With that in mind, I agree with Ms. Carrigango. I cannot deny her bond. That is, of course, my first knee-jerk reaction was to deny her bond. However, because I find her acute danger, I find her a continued danger to the children. My main concern is, I don't know who, if anyone, that the children have been given to. If it is a family member, I'm concerned that she still may have contact with the family member from the jail with instructions to continue to engage in the fear tactics to forbid the children from cooperating with authorities in their continued investigation in this matter. For that reason alone, I'm giving her a $250 million bond in this matter, cash only. The other aspects, should she post said bond, she is not to have any contact with these children by family members, third-party agents, or friends. So, Ms. Bryant, I want you to understand, any phone calls from the jail, should you're unable to post this bond, is recorded. Should the court find out that you are sending messages to engage in further fear tactics and intimidation of the children, your phone privileges will be removed. You're not to have, in fact, any contact, should you post this bond, with any children under the age of 18 in this matter. If you post this bond, you should be supervised by pretrial services, no alcohol or drugs, no weapons or firearms, and a GPS tether with a verified address, because I'm concerned pretrial services has indicated 2 different reported addresses for you. I don't believe anyone knows where you have been staying, madam. There's no consistent history. Anything further regarding the bond, Ms. Caragongo, Ms. Green?
Your Honor, just ever so briefly, they had no issues finding my client to arrest her. So I just want the record to be clear on that.
Ms. Green?
Your Honor, you have before you information that the defendant has been lying about her whereabouts, the whereabouts regarding what she was telling where the children were. So you have a lot in this record in terms of inconsistencies with her location and the information that she's given to put in place this high cash bond.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your cooperation in this matter. Ms. Bryant, you are thanked and excused from the camera. Ms. Caragongo, Ms. Green, thank you so much. Pretrial service, thank you so much. Ma'am, can you get up and let the deputies know we're ready for the next defendant? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Child, so they said they don't know exactly where she has been staying. Now, even though she was arrested, the judge felt like she was a risk in not showing up for court, which I mean, I still do not agree with the 250,000. No, I keep saying thousand, $250 million cash bond. Now, I agree with the cash part, but I don't agree with the amount. Let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the um the history and how we got here today. Thank y'all for tuning into the docket read. Let's scroll over. Stay tuned. You can stay right here. You're going to be redirected to the actual, I don't even know what to call it. It ain't even a documentary. Let's see how this lady was treating her kids, how they were living. I might put a trigger warning because this, what I've seen as far as the images go, it's not pretty at all. So stay right here. You're going to be redirected to this story.